G'day everybody, Max right here. I hope you're having a great day. So the last couple of days I've made a video, one with a big Bitcoin update, which people really enjoyed, which they asked a whole bunch of questions, and so then I did a follow-up Q&A. And through all the comment thread, there's a big debate raging, which was, are governments going to outlaw Bitcoin? Are they going to outlaw gold? What are they going to do? Which one's more vulnerable? And I just happened to have, in 2013, I had the best-selling book on Amazon on the topic of Bitcoin. From that book, I made a video. It was voiceovered by a guy named Conrad White with a very important chapter. It's been in the members area of Success Council, so it's only for the paid subscribers of Success Council for the last 7 years. But I'm going to put this out on YouTube for you guys for free right now, and I think it's one of the most important things we can do in the discussion of Bitcoin versus gold. And what it does is it identifies 16 characteristics of money that it would be desirable for money to have. Now, a lot of people are familiar with 6 or 7. There's quite a few lists going around like that. But what I discovered when researching this is when I was analyzing Bitcoin way back in 2012 and comparing it to gold, what I realized was when I compared the 6 or 7 characteristics of money that everybody knows versus with Bitcoin and gold, they were very tight. Like Bitcoin and gold were very, very similar. Maybe Bitcoin was a little bit ahead, maybe gold was a little bit ahead, depending on your position. But something in my gut felt there was something wrong, there was something missing. And I realized that list was actually a list of reasons that gold was better than fiat. Because we never had Bitcoin. No one ever let their mind go to what actually, if we were magicians and could make magic money, what would we actually want it to be and what would we want it to do? What characteristics would we want it to have? So I put that hat on and I ended up coming up with 16. Yesterday I said 14. It was actually 16 because I just watched the video. So in 2012 I came up with this list of 16 things that we were desirable traits of money. And then I ranked Bitcoin and gold on each of them. So you're about to watch that video that I created in 2012. And so here's what I want you guys to do. Of the 16 traits, some of them are going to be super important to you and some of them are going to be, it's not so important to me, I don't know. So what I want to hear is, what are the most important traits for you? Please let me know in the comments section. And let me know if you think I did the grading correctly. Like, did I give Bitcoin a D when it should have been a D, or maybe it should have been a B, or maybe it should have been an F. So let me know if the gradings are correct, and then let me know which characteristics do you think are the most important. And then let's say we have we go into the situation of, like, there's a currency crisis, maybe even heading into hyperinflation. The question becomes, governments around the world will try and crack down on competition for their currency, for sure. They always do it. They probably will do it with gold and Bitcoin. Which do you think is the most susceptible to a government crackdown? That becomes the question, which is, once you answer that, now you know where should we invest our time, energy, and resources, and in terms of hedging against that kind of stuff. So without further ado, here is Conrad White reading from my book from in 2012 on the 16 characteristics of money, Bitcoin versus gold. Which one will stand up in face of government tyranny here in the next few years? Let me know what you think below.
As we revisit the list, desirable characteristics of money we covered earlier, you will find many more examples of why Bitcoin makes an excellent currency. So let's compare Bitcoin against gold on our list of 16 desirable characteristics. Number 1, durable. Gold has fantastic durability. It's rust-proof and literally can lie at the bottom of the ocean for 1,000 years and still not lose its value. The only thing that can destroy gold that I know of is a nuclear attack. Short of being made radioactive, it will always maintain its value. So gold gets an A when it comes to durability. Bitcoin can be backed up and stored in multiple locations all around the world. In that sense, it is resistant to even a nuclear or EMP attack as the same. Bitcoin can exist in every country in the world, even though it can only be spent once. However, if you lose your private or public key, then the coins become lost forever. There is no opportunity for someone else to stumble across your lost Bitcoin and claim them for himself. But as long as you have a backup of your wallet, the coins will last forever. So I give Bitcoin an A for durability. Number 2, divisible. Gold is easily divisible. Quite inexpensively, you can create enough heat to melt down gold and make 2 half-ounce coins from one 1-ounce coin. But there is a practical limitation. A 1/10 ounce gold coin is quite small, yet still has a value of $180. A 1/100th ounce coin would be impractically small, so gold only gets an A for divisibility as opposed to an A+. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is free to divide up to 1/100 millionth. You can send someone 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin just as easily as you can send them 1 Bitcoin. Bitcoin gets an A+ for divisibility. Number 3, fungible. Gold is perfectly fungible. Each gram of pure gold is exactly equivalent and interchangeable with any other gram of gold. A+. Bitcoin is also perfectly fungible for the same reasons. A+. Number 4, convenient portability. Gold has historically been decent in this realm. Traditionally, you could go to the market and with just a few gold coins in your purse, you could buy anything and exchange on the spot. Gold held a lot of value in a small place. However, in recent years, with the growth of the digital economy and globalization, gold has become less convenient. If you wanted to buy the latest widget from the home shopping network, sending gold is not very easy. It is worth noting that if the government of the world would get out of the way, then the market would solve this challenge. For example, www.goldmoney.com did solve this issue by allowing you to transfer your gold ownership to someone else. Goldmoney.com would hold your gold for you. Your ownership was recorded on their computers. You could simply log on to your Gold Money account and tell them to deduct, say, 1 gram of gold from your account and add it to Bob's account. They did this for a small fee. However, in 2012, this practice ceased because enough pressure was put on them by governments. GoldMoney.com turned that feature off. Although the free market did take steps to solve the issue of gold is money in the age of internet transactions, it introduced third-party risk. You were dependent on GoldMoney.com to faithfully store and not steal your gold. Don't get me wrong. I hold precious metals with GoldMoney.com, and I recommend them. But I acknowledge that in order to use their services, I am introducing third-party risk. In addition, gold is very heavy. That is why paper money began to exist in the first place. Gold gets a B for convenience in the modern era. Convenience is where Bitcoin shines. It is weightless. It can be transferred anywhere on the planet instantly and without cost. It is much better suited for today's digital economy and globalization. As long as you have a phone or a computer with an internet connection, you can make payments. As long as the internet exists, Bitcoin can exist. Bitcoin gets an A+ for convenience and portability. Number 5, acceptability. Gold is not accepted as payment at too many places in the modern world. Pretty much you need to go to a gold dealer in order to exchange gold to cash and then to buy your goods. I think the trend is for gold to be accepted at more places as more people become aware of the dangers of fiat currencies, but in reality, we are a long way off paying your accountant, plumber, or grocery bills in gold, especially when governments keep thwarting free market solutions like GoldMoney.com to make those transactions easier. On the other hand, several nations are now buying oil and other goods in gold. In 2012, I give gold a C for acceptability. Bitcoin fares pretty poorly here as well. I don't see Iran selling its oil for Bitcoin anytime soon, and I don't think my plumber would have even heard of it, let alone accept it as payment. But the community of people accepting Bitcoin as payment is growing every day. Therein lies the opportunity. With a set limited supply of Bitcoin, if usage takes off and tens of millions of people start using Bitcoin, then the price could go parabolic. If hundreds of millions or even billions do, then $100 could turn into millions in just a few years. I plan to spend the majority of the next chapter talking about current and potential uses of Bitcoin. But for now, let's just do a quick overview. The Bitcoin currency currently has over 100 million US dollars market cap, meaning the value of all coins in existence is $100 million. Presently, $2.5 million changes hands every day. You can buy a variety of products including honey, cookies, e-books, gold, silver, alcohol, guns, ammunition, dinner, computers, magazines, and literally thousands of products with Bitcoin right now. In 2012, I give it a D for acceptability, but with an optimistic outlook that this will change for the better very, very quickly. Number 6, counterfeit resistant. Gold is difficult to counterfeit, but not impossible. Just recently, an experienced bullion dealer in New York drilled into some of his gold bars to find it was filled with tungsten on the inside. There are several methods for testing gold purity, and of course, the more accurate ones require greater costs and greater expertise. I give gold an A- on its counterfeit resistance. Bitcoin is completely counterfeit resistant. I am reliably told by some of those math geeks who understand the Bitcoin algorithm it would take hundreds of millions of dollars in computing power and 75 years to crack the cryptography of Bitcoin. Without the correct keys, it is virtually impossible to counterfeit. Any attempt to copy or spend the same Bitcoin in multiple places would instantly be detected by the network and spat out as counterfeit. So you can be certain if your wallet says you have Bitcoin in it, you do. Bitcoin gets an A+ on counterfeit resistance. Number 7, limited in quantity. Gold is limited by the requirement for human labor to extract it from the ground. As such, gold will always be limited, but the supply will increase forever, and most likely at a reasonably predictable rate. Bitcoin has a very specific supply chart. Every single year from now until 2040, the Bitcoin supply will be known to everyone, at which point it will cap out at 21 million. From there can never be any new Bitcoins created. It is certainly limited. The question here is, which is better, steadily supply growth or no growth? I think either way works when it comes to a nation's money supply. No growth simply means that the market will adjust and goods will become cheaper over time. This deflationary spiral is not a tragedy like Keynesian economics suggest. However, it does mean that it lends itself to the rich getting richer, which we will talk more about later. The supply curve is set. If you believe demand will increase over the long term, which is likely for the simple reason that populations are increasing, then demand should increase. If demand increases, with no ability for the market to increase the supply, then increased value is assured. Therefore, the early adapters are guaranteed the value of their Bitcoin will increase if usage increases. Is this desirable compared to a steadily correlating supply increase like gold? Will it lead to hoarding and a class divide? Early adapters versus the rest. Well, hoarding is not really a problem. Even though Bitcoin banks don't exist yet, they will. When you hoard your Bitcoin, you will want to get some return on it. Therefore, you will lend it to others at interest. So hoarding does not really affect the economy, and free markets always distribute wealth relatively evenly. By way of an example, after just 2 decades of the free trade agreements with China, we have seen a massive decrease in the future prospects and quality of life for Americans and Europeans, and a massive increase for their Chinese counterparts as wealth flows from rich to poor. I think it is more desirable for a steadily growing money supply, but far from tragic that Bitcoin has a fixed money supply. This is despite the fact that early adapters like myself receive an advantage of it being a fixed supply. For these reasons, I give gold an A+ for limited supply and Bitcoin an A. So that completes the must-haves for a good currency. Let's take a quick look at the scoreboard. We see it's pretty close. Bitcoin has some advantages and gold others, but overall we have a slight victory towards Bitcoin. Not bad considering this is really a list that was created thousands of years ago to demonstrate why gold is a superior money than all other forms. You and I have front row seats to a world economic collapse caused by governments outlawing the use of gold as money. Since gold did not have that advantage over any other currencies, resistance to regulation has never been on the must-have list. I think history will view resistance to regulation as a requirement for good money. So, for now, resistance to regulation is in the nice-to-haves, as are many other characteristics that I think in the future will become must-haves. Number 8. A long history of use as money. Well, no surprise here. Gold has a 5,000-year history as being used as money. A+. But remember, 4,999 years ago, it did not, and it was still excellent money. Bitcoin obviously is only a few years old, but with $2.5 million US being traded daily, it clearly has some history. I give it a D-. It is for the long history of gold being used as money that I have been all in on gold and silver over the last few years. I would never, ever recommend going all in on Bitcoin. It simply does not have the history to prove that it will be around in a few years. Gold will never go to zero and be worthless. But it is possible that Bitcoin does. I hope this video proves that Bitcoin solves many problems and will be used for a long time to come, but I certainly would not bet the farm on it. Number 9. Anonymity. Gold is fairly anonymous, especially for small quantities and local dealings. If I buy gold for cash, store it at home, and trade it with my plumber for his services, certainly no one except he and I would know that I ever had gold or that he ever provided his services for them. But what about larger gold holdings and larger transactions over greater distances? Well, the challenge with large amounts of gold is you have to store it in someone else's custody like goldmoney.com, Brinks, or Viamat, for example. The challenge is, if government agents show up to their offices, point guns at them, and seize their computers, your holdings are not anonymous. The government now knows about your gold. Because this fact exists, there is no real need for them to do that. They simply pass a law like FATCA requiring you to declare it on your tax form. You could run the risk and not declare it, but you wouldn't sleep well at night, as there is a reasonable chance you will get caught. So most people do indeed declare their gold holdings when laws make it mandatory. Anonymity? Gone. What about payment or transportation over distances? Well, before the government harassed goldmoney.com to shut down their account-to-account services, it was somewhat possible. But now it is near impossible to make international payments in gold anonymously or even just carry your own gold with you overseas. With metal detectors at the airports and several examples of TSA and other governments confiscating gold and silver at the airport, you would be mad to try. If you do use a service like ViaMat, which I would suggest if you do need to transport precious metals internationally, then they will take care of all the government reporting required for you. A great service, but once again, anonymity gone. I give gold a B+ for anonymity. Bitcoin is much stronger in this case. Although all balances and transactions from wallet to wallet are public, linking a wallet to a person is much more difficult. That is not to say it is impossible, but time and experience will make it far more prohibitive for governments to do. There are already anonymizing services available. It works like this. I can have several wallets. For example, I have some public wallets, and some are like my Fort Knox or private wallet. My public wallets I give to people so they can send me payments. My private wallets I never share with anyone. They are never associated with me. I can transfer Bitcoin from my public wallets to my Fort Knox wallets. The public can see that someone is accumulating Bitcoin in that wallet. But who is it? Well, actually, it would not be too difficult to figure out because each Bitcoin keeps a history of every wallet it has been to. So if 100% of Bitcoin in my private wallet came from the same wallet, it would be pretty easy to guess I just transferred my Bitcoins to myself. In this instance, my Bitcoins are said to have 100% taint because it is obvious where they came from. That is where anonymizing services come into play. For a small fee or percentage, these services will remove the taint from your coins. Think of it like tipping all your marked bills into a container with other people's marked bills, mixing them all up and taking out the same number of bills you put in. Only now the taint is removed. The Bitcoins in your wallet are seemingly from thousands of different sources. So where did they come from? Say hello to anonymity. What about transferring Bitcoins overseas? Easy. Send via email or have a USB stick in your pocket as you board the plane or both. Governments cannot know you're doing it. Even by monitoring the email, they cannot know as they can be encrypted. I can transfer millions of dollars overseas without incurring any costs, without anyone ever knowing. This is unprecedented. By the way, you know that seed I keep watering? Do you think Bitcoin has some benefits as more and more capital controls are introduced? You better believe it. While not perfectly anonymous, with a little extra work, Bitcoin can be. I give it an A+ for anonymity. Number 10, low storage costs. You can store gold at home for free, but in large quantities, that would not be advisable. Generally, gold is expensive to store. You require vaults, security, checkpoints, insurance, and a million other things. Transporting it is expensive, as you require all of the same but mobile. Guards can be bribed and governments or criminals can rob vaults. However, it is a very high value to volume ratio. You can have $100,000 in your pocket. Your pants will drag a bit, but it can be done. Yes, I am speaking from experience, so it is better than most things. I give it an A-. Bitcoin is free to store. It requires near no security because it is near invisible. Bury a USB stick in your yard. Have it on your phone. Email it to your sister in another country and not give her the private key so she can't even steal it. Bitcoin gets an A+ for low storage costs. Number 11, low transaction costs. Again, it is possible to give your plumber a gold coin for his services without incurring transaction costs. But in larger transactions and in the modern globalized internet world, it is very expensive to conduct business using gold. Shipping, security, and time delays for the physical payment to arrive is all very expensive. Again, gold payment services like goldmoney.com, if allowed to flourish, could help solve a lot of those problems, but they are restricted by governments, and so at present, and for the foreseeable future, the transaction cost of gold is very high, and even if these services do flourish, it still introduces third-party risk and removes anonymity. I give gold a C for transaction costs. Again, Bitcoin shines for any volume, over any distance, through any government blockades, with free encryption security at instant speeds. It is free. Check and mate. A+ for Bitcoin on transaction costs. Just imagine this for a minute. Think of all the human capital at Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, American Express, Western Union, banks, and thousands of other institutions that exist to help facilitate trade in our world being freed up to move to more productive sectors. The benefits to the efficiencies of global markets are difficult to even comprehend, but they are huge. Number 12, intangible. If you leave gold on a park bench and come back for it later, it will most likely be gone. Not recoverable. You could not back it up and store copies elsewhere, and it would be gone from your possession forever. That is all we have ever known, and humanity has survived just fine so far. But it would be nice to be able to have non-tangible money that could just be teleported back into your possession should you misplace it. I won't hold it against gold too much, but certainly on being intangible, it gets an F. Bitcoin is just the opposite, as I'm sure you've gathered by now. It is a digital currency and thus intangible. You can back it up in thousands of locations if you want, and teleport it to yourself anytime you wish with an internet connection. A+ for being intangible. Number 13, no third-party risk. Again, you could store gold at home and pay your plumber when you see him, and there would be no third-party risk. But in a globalized internet world, gold requires lots of third-party risk. There is the company you store your gold at, there is the transport company, and then there is customs. Within each of those, there are dozens of humans who you rely on to store and transport your gold. Realistically, in today's world, gold is money instead of just a store of value has tremendous third-party risk. I give it a B. Because Bitcoin is its own global payment system as well, there is no third-party risk. You do not need to pay anyone to store it, and you do not need to pay anyone to transport it. You can send $1 million across the globe and store it there for a year without involving a single other person in the transaction. Bitcoin gets an A+ for no third-party risk. Number 14, deniability. If A, your government raids your house and finds gold there, or B, finds an account at goldmoney.com in your name, or C, a policeman or mugger searches you and finds gold in your pocket, or D, the IRS claims you did not fill out your FATCA FATCA form for a foreign bank account that is in your name. You cannot justify that it is not yours. You have no plausible deniability. Gold gets an F in deniability. Bitcoin, however, has perfect deniability. You can encrypt your wallets so no one even knows they are wallets. And if you did not do that, and a computer forensics team found a wallet on your phone or computer, you could say, my brother sent the wallet to me and everyone else in the family as a backup, and only he has the private key. I'm happy to give it to you, but I simply don't know the key, and so it is worthless to you. Bitcoin gets an A+ on deniability. Number 15, resistance to regulation and violence. Okay, team, this is the big one in my mind. Because gold exists in only one physical location at any one time, it will always be susceptible to men with the mentality of gangsters. Politicians will send their thugs over to harass any companies or citizens storing gold or creating products to make gold more usable, like goldmoney.com. Legal tender laws exist, and as some have already found out, the government deals harshly with anyone trying to break their monopoly on currency. Because gold has no deniability and is in a physical location, governments can use their monopoly on violence to destroy its ability to be used as money. In the case of gold, they already have. If they needed to make more draconian laws, they would, but for now, they have done enough. As we look towards more capital controls, higher taxation, and more money printing, people will try to turn to gold as money. Don't get me wrong. The people will definitely use a lot more gold as money in the future, and I have bet the majority of my wealth on it. But the government will fight with tanks and bombs and bullets if need be to stop that from happening. I think the people will win eventually. That is why I don't give gold an F. But it certainly is very susceptible to regulation and violence. I give gold a D. Bitcoin is remarkably robust and resilient to this kind of an attack because it exists on the peer-to-peer network. For those of you who do not know what the peer-to-peer network is, it's when millions of computers each do a little bit of computing power, rather than one central bank of servers. You can take out hundreds, thousands, and even millions of servers, but the network never dies unless you take out every single server in the world. To illustrate, the best example you may be familiar with is Napster and BitTorrent. As you may recall, Napster was being widely used to illegally download music. It had legitimate uses as well, but governments were paid enough by record companies to go and destroy Napster. So men with guns marched in and unplugged the Napster servers. No more downloading free music online, and a lesson to anyone else who thought about trying the same thing. Only 2 days after Napster was shut down, BitTorrent took over as the new system to download music, videos, and any other illegal files. BitTorrent is basically a Napster, except it is peer-to-peer. There are no central server banks anywhere to go and unplug. Instead, you would have to have policemen in every bedroom and basement across the planet to bring down the BitTorrent network. That is the power of a decentralized peer-to-peer network. It is very resilient against attacks of violence and regulation. Therefore, I give Bitcoin an A+ in resistance to regulation and violence. Number 16. Resistance to fractional reserve banking. Gold does not have a good track record in this department. Because of its weight requirement and need for secure storage, it is generally held in large vaults. The owners of these large vaults, be they governments or individuals, have a very long history of saying they have more than they really do. Even today, gold is leased out by government in volumes 100 times more than they actually have. Gold gets an F for its resistance to fractional reserve banking. Bitcoin, however, is free to both store and transport. The system also rejects any forged Bitcoin. What this means is, you never send IOUs, promissory notes, or receipts like you do gold. You just send the Bitcoin. You never store it at third-party places hoping they have not sold it many times over. It is perfectly resistant to fractional reserve banking. It gets an A+. Well, there we have it. Let's revisit our scorecard. In the later categories, Bitcoin showed just how many advantages it has over gold as money, some of which I believe are extremely important. These advantages mean that in some instances, Bitcoin would be better suited to use as money than gold, and in other instances, gold would be better. In our next video, we will look at which currency might be better to use and when.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I haven't seen anybody else do Bitcoin versus gold and comparing the characteristics. I've seen them do it on gold's terms, that's the list of things gold's good at versus fiat. I've never seen an even playing field, Bitcoin versus gold, laid out like that head to head in the dream scenario of characteristics of money. So I really hope you enjoyed that. I think it's a really important contribution to the world of Bitcoin. So I'm very happy to share that and take it out from behind the paywall. So guys, let me know if you enjoyed it, please. Let me know in the comments below. I often get asked, how can we support the channel? How can we help grow it? Guys, I really would love to grow the channel. So if you can please smash that likes button, give it a thumbs up, is that what it's called? Thumbs up, like, whatever it is. Go ahead, leave me some comments and let me know what you thought was good. Let me know what characteristics were good and what ones I assessed correctly, and which characteristics are most important to you in terms of making a good money. And if you like that information, the Success Council membership is not available for sale right now, so you can't join. But if you like more of that content, let me know in the comments below. I might be able to get some relevant videos out of there and put them here on the YouTube channel, because in that members area, it's just an incredible resource. It's like 10 years of videos I've been making and putting in there. And what it is just exactly how all the different financial marketplaces work. We're talking about precious metals, we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about real estate, how to take advantage of them, and how to take advantage of them during what the crisis that we're going through right now is, which is the collapsing of the financial bubble that's been building for the last 30 years. So, pardon me. All those videos are in there, and if you want me to pull some of them out here and put them in here, let me know what you want to see, and I might be able to do that. So guys, please share this video with your friends, put it on Facebook, Twitter. This frog in the throat's got to go. All right. Well, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. I think it's Well, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that. I think it's a really important contribution to the study of Bitcoin, gold, and monetary science. It's been in the Success Council members area for paid customers only for the last 8 years. And so I'm actually kind of really excited to get it out there and let it breathe, because I just think it's really important. The world needs to see that. Let me know if you enjoyed that. And also, guys, I get asked all the time, how can I support the channel? How can I do things? I don't accept Patreon. I don't take your donations. And so what you can do for me, please, hit that like button if you'd like to see more of that content. And please think about sharing this. If you can post it on Facebook, send it to some friends on Facebook, Twitter, email, you know how to do the sharing. If we can grow this channel up, I'll get really motivated to make lots more videos and maybe even pull some more videos out of the paid members area, because that area is just, there's 10 years of videos that I've created in there to just help you navigate all the different asset classes, precious metals, Bitcoin, real estate, stocks, how to do it all and when to do it depending on where we are in the market cycles, so that you're always swimming with the current and in a market when it's growing. So that's kind of what Success Council is all about. It's not available for purchase right now. We're not accepting new members right now, but if you can support the channel, I'll continue to make more videos here on YouTube. And guys, I will see you in the next video. And by the way, the next video is going to be talking about a collapse in the faith of government. So now, more than ever, especially in the United States, throughout the entire history of the United States, never have the citizens had so much faith in government to take care of them. And it's a very big concern, and it's actually the biggest concern of all, I think. And I think we are on the doorstep of a awakening and a revolution between COVID-19 and their response, but more importantly, in the destruction of the currency. As that plays out over the next several years, what you're going to see is a plummeting in faith in government. And what that means to us and citizens, how to take advantage of it, how to profit from it, I'm going to talk about that in the next video. I think you're going to really enjoy it. So make sure you subscribe if you want to get that video. Guys, I'll see you then.